This is Fitness Splender's 5x5x5 pulse workout. In this workout, we're going to be doing a 2-minute warm-up, followed by a 16-minute 5x5x5 workout. That's 5 repetitions, 5 pulses, and 5 times through, and then we're going to finish it off with a 3-minute cooldown. Let's go ahead and get started with our warm-up cardio. We're going to start off with jogging in place. We're just going to be doing 30 seconds of this. Just make sure you keep that pace nice and even. Don't worry about going too fast on this. And remember, if you have bad knees or ankles or hips, make sure you do this on a nice soft surface. And we're almost done with this. We're going to be switching to jumping jacks next. And go ahead and switch it. Just a regular jumping jack when you're doing these for 30 seconds. And just about 5 seconds left. Our next one is going to be lateral jumps. And go ahead and switch it, going into those lateral jumps, just from side to side, trying to stay nice and low. Just barely tapping that toe back behind you. If you want to make it a little bit harder, don't let that back foot actually touch the ground. And we're almost done, about 5 seconds left. Got one exercise left for this warm-up, and that's going to be high knees. Go ahead and get those feet moving. Now you want to try to focus on moving those feet as quickly as you possibly can for this one. And then second, you want to focus on trying to get those knees up as high as you possibly can. If you start getting a little bit too tired, then switch to just a regular high knee march. That one's done by just stepping those feet back and forth at a slower pace rather than hopping back and forth like this one. Alright, we're almost done. And let it relax. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with our 5x5x5 workout. That's 5 repetitions, 5 pulses, and 5 cycles through. Alright, our first exercise is going to be the kneeling leg raises. Let's go ahead and get ready. And begin. So keeping that knee bent just a little bit, you're going to bring it up behind you, squeeze it up as tight as you possibly can at the very top of that range of motion, get a nice tight squeeze on that butt, and then bring that knee back underneath you. And there's your last repetition, this one your pulse, so 5 pulses in a row, and then back to those full range of motion, another 5 of these, and then we'll switch back. And that's your last repetition right there. So next one, bring it up in short pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop that knee back down and go right back into that full range of motion for another 5 repetitions. And there's 5 right there. Next one, short pulses. And last one, back into that full range of motion. And that's number 5 right there. Next one starts that first short pulse. Keep that knee up there nice and high. Nice tight squeeze at the very top of that range of motion. And bring it back down. Going back to that full range of motion again. And that's number 5 right there. We're almost done. We've got 5 pulses left. And let it relax. Alright, we're going to switch sides, do the same thing on the opposite side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Bring that right leg up this time. Nice tight squeeze at the top of that range of motion. Bring that knee back down every single time. And one more. Now we're going to switch to those short pulses. Keep that leg up there nice and high. Nice short little pulse. And bring that knee back down. Start back into that regular full motion. And one more repetition. And then into those pulses. Nice short squeeze at the very top. And there's your last one. Bring that knee back down, right back into that regular repetition. And there's your last one right here. Bring that knee back down, then back up for those pulses. And bring that knee back down, start right back into those repetitions. And there's your last one right there. Back to those pulses. Squeeze nice and tight at the top. And bring that knee back down, start back into that regular repetition. This is your last round. Almost done. This is your last repetition. Then start up that last round of pulses. Keep that knee high. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next exercise, just a traditional squat. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So nice full range of motion for this first 5. Try to get those hips nice and low, down to at least knee height, and then right back up again, just as low as you can control, as low as is comfortable. Then down into those pulses for the next one. Keep it really nice and low, very short range of motion, and bring it back up and start those full repetitions again. One more repetition. Down into those squats for the next one. Short little pulse. Keep it down there nice and low. And back up. Full repetition again. Last one coming down. Stand back up and then drop down into that pulse. Nice and low. Short range of motion. And back up. Again to that full range of motion. Bring it back down again. That's your last one. And then down and for that short pulse. Back up to that full range of motion. This is your last round. Almost done. Just one more full repetition. Now drop it down for those pulses. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the lunges next. We're doing this one side at a time, starting with your right leg forward. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Step out into that lunge position. Just down and back up for that full lunge. Just try to get as low as possible. Try to get that knee down there. And drop it down in short pulses. And bring it back up for a full repetition. And one more, dropping it down for that short pulse. Back up for that full repetition. One more full repetition. And then drop it down for that short pulse. Back up again. And drop it down for that short pulse. Back up to that full repetition. One more full repetition. Now drop it down for that short pulse. This is your last round. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. We're going to do the same thing with that left leg forward. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Step out of that lunge. Get a nice deep lunge every single time. Make sure you're trying to get that knee as close to the ground as you can. It's your fifth one right there. Now drop for that short pulse. And back up to that full repetition. That's your fifth one right there. Now back down to that short pulse. Back up for that full repetition. It's your last one. Now back down to that pulse. Back up. That's number 5 right there. And drop for that pulse. Back up again. This is your last cycle. And that's your last repetition right there. Now next one, drop down for that pulse. And let it relax. All right, good job. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the bridge. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Nice tight squeeze, lifting those hips all the way up off the ground every single time, and then dropping them right back down to a few inches off the ground. This is your last full range of motion. Drop it down, then back up. Those short pulses. And right back down again to that full range of motion. So your last one, bring it back up for short pulses. Back down again. Drop it back down, then bring it up for those short pulses. Try to keep those hips up there as high as you possibly can. And back down again for that full range of motion. This is your last one. Bring it up for that short pulse. And drop it back down again. This is your last cycle. And there's number 5 right there. Bring those hips back down, then shove them up for those short pulses. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the downward dog with a leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Drop down into that triangle position for that downward facing dog. Bring that left leg up. Nice tight squeeze, the top of the range of that motion. Really focusing on getting that butt to squeeze nice and tight, keeping that hamstring nice and tight as well. That's your repetition 5 right there. Next one, bring that leg up and short pulses. And bring it back down. Back to that full range of motion. That's number 5. Bring that leg back up for short pulses. Back down again for that full range. And there's number 5 right there. Drop that leg, bring it back up for short pulses. Drop it back down for that full range of motion. That's number 5 right there. That leg comes back up for those short pulses. And drop it back down, back to that full range of motion. This is your last cycle. And there's your 5th repetition right there. Bring that leg back up for those short pulses. And let it relax. All right, we're going to do that same exact exercise on the opposite leg. So go ahead and switch sides. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Drop down into that downward facing dog again. This time bringing that right leg up, getting a nice tight squeeze up behind you, trying to keep that triangle position as best you can. And there's your last full repetition, short pulses. Drop that leg back down, starting that full range of motion again. And there's number 5 right there. Bring that leg back up for those short pulses. And back down for that full range of motion. Remember, trying to get a nice tight squeeze on that butt every single time you bring that leg up. And there's your 5th one right there. Bring that leg back down, then raise it back up for that short pulse. And back down again for that full range of motion. There's your 5th one right there. Bring that leg back up for that short pulse. And drop it back down. This is your last cycle through. And here's number 5 right here. Bring that leg down and then back up for those short pulses. And go ahead and let it relax. All right, those butt muscles and thigh muscles must be burning by now, so let's go ahead and finish it up with some stretches. And for our first stretch, we're going to do just a regular standing hamstring stretch. You might need a wall or the back of a chair or something like that to help you keep your balance. Otherwise, you're just going to be standing, balancing on one leg. The other leg is going to come up so that heel's up as close to that butt as is comfortable, and then pull that knee back behind you so you're feeling a stretch to the top of that thigh, the front of that thigh, and the front of your hip. You might even be feeling it in the lower part of your abdominal muscles. And just about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, we're going to switch sides, do the same thing on that opposite leg. Remember, bring that heel into that butt, then pull that knee back behind you as best you can, stretching the top of that thigh, the front of that thigh, and the front of that hip. Almost done. And let it relax. Let's go ahead and switch to a crossover toe touch stretch. That right leg's going to come over top of that left and stretch down to touch those toes. You should be feeling this in that left leg, that back of that left leg, and that hamstring, into that butt muscle of that left leg, and as well as in that lower back. Now the goal with this is to try to increase that flexibility, increase that range of motion, but remember, never overdo it. You never want to feel pain when you're doing a stretch. And we got about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, we're going to switch legs. So that left leg's going to come over top of that right leg this time. Should be feeling all this in that right leg now. The thigh, the back of the thigh of that right leg, the right side of that butt, and also through that lower back. And we're almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, we're going to go ahead and switch off to the hip flexor stretch next. This is a modified lunge position. It's going to drop down. That rear leg, that right leg, is going to stay completely straight or close to it. So you should feel it in the front of that right hip. The further you squat down, the further you lunge down, the more you should feel it. And we're almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, we're going to switch legs. This time that left leg can go back behind you, drop down at that lunge. That left knee you want almost completely straight as you can hold it. And then drop down nice and low. You should be feeling it in the front of that hip primarily. You might also be feeling it in the front of that thigh and those lower abdominal muscles a little bit as well. Almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, good job. You just finished Fitness Splendor's 5x5x5 workout for the butt and thighs.